Hello and welcome everyone to Unshackled Wisdom. I'm Katya. Great to have you here. This is where we break these shackles that have basically imprisoned ourselves through our beliefs, our programs, our behaviors, our patterns, our stories that we keep telling ourselves, and with meanings we've attached to those stories that keep us stuck, keep us in a loop, not having the level of health we desire or the life that we desire. So today I want to talk about health creation, how it begins in the imagination. In fact, the whole trajectory of this channel will be around how the mind really does determine what kind of health you have and what kind of life you have. And if we can understand that everything is within ourselves, the solutions to what we've been taught to seek outside of ourselves, it's all inside us. And we have to get that trust back in ourselves, and we have to remember who we really are. Luckily, a lot of people are starting to do that. And, you know, people say to me, well, maybe this is a manifestation thing, but it really is understanding the powers that you've always possessed. And most of the time we know that we're able to create things. We've all magnetized things to us and say, wow, you know, I was thinking of this and then that happened, it showed up, you know. But we don't often then connect that we're doing it continually. The subconscious mind is always holding us back in a way. It keeps bringing up a story that we've attached a meaning to, and it brings that image back. And like I've said before, there is no past, but they're like ghosts that keep recurring. And some people say, well, the older they are, the more they've got that's accumulated. But in actual fact, there's always one thing that goes back that's the linchpin holding everything else up. So in regards to health, what you accept to be true for you, your beliefs, and what you focus on, where you're putting your attention, determines the outcome of your health and how you operate every day. And through the experience I had last year with cancer, I've had to relearn everything about how health and my life, my relationships, and everything really operate in this reality. And as I've said before, I didn't have a problem with knowing that my body had the capability to heal itself. I didn't have to, I've got to supervise it in some way. We don't supervise our heart to beat or wounds to heal, cells to turn over, any repair going, anything function going in the body. We don't have anything to do with that consciously. It's going on because it has a program installed into it already that knows how to do that. It's a hardware system, and it's always working in our favor. It's made to do that. So when we start to understand that a lot of the things we think and say to ourselves are impacting ourselves as to whether they, you know, they come back to homeostasis or whether they don't. There's an internal conflict going on. Now, I talked the other day about the left and right hand side of the brain. I'll probably bring that up a few times. But each and every one of us in these bodies has a brain that has a left and a right hand side. And the left, the overthinking, the overanalyzing. We're living in a time now where there's a lot of emphasis placed on the left-hand side of the brain, as we, you know, we're in a time with social media in particular, but we're always analyzing, we're always interpreting so-called interactions and reactions, judgments. We're just using more of this side. And in actuality, it's causing us more stress in as much as it's imprisoning us in this kind of comparison that goes on all the time with other people. It brings about a lot of doubt into our own minds. It makes us feel even more insecure about who we are. It can open up more resentments, disappointments, and all these things that seem to be more perpetuated by the so-called social media that really didn't exist a few decades ago. So we've got that. We've got the right-hand side of the brain, the imagination portal, the spark of God that has this incredible ability to create, to imagine, to make things come to fruition. And it's wonderful. We get these downloads and we get these great ideas, and we know that everything around us began from a thought in someone's mind. There is not one thing that we have in our environment that did not begin from a thought. I mean, all of nature was created by our creator, but everything that we use in our daily life, and it all came from the mind of a person and their imagination. And we're seeing the result of that. The same thing goes for us. We're always imagining continually. But when we understand that most of the time we're imagining things that we don't want, that we don't desire for ourselves, and it's all unconscious. And as I've said, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between an image, a memory that happened years ago, and a meaning you've attached to that, and it keeps replaying it. And of course, your body will react to that emotion when you have that memory as if it's going on now, even though it may have happened 40, 50 years ago. We've all had those experiences, and we continue to do them. And the way that we get this part of our brain to not have the dominion that it currently has over the majority of people, and it determines the trajectory of their life from, as I said, since we're kids, from birth to 7. It's not just perceived traumas or neglect or abandonment, rejection, the environments we grew up in. It's what we observed from all people, not just our caretakers, but we observed how people interact with each other. And we saw how people deal with these things, and we've soaked it all up like sponges, So we've adopted these things, and we're playing them all out. I mean, really, we're all still just kids in grown-up bodies, and we're still seeking to belong and be part of a group, to be accepted, to feel valued and important in some way. Now, if that goes to the extreme, the left-hand side of the brain will use this part to elicit, acceptance and love from other people. But like I've said, through this experience I went through, self-love, and it's been misinterpreted a lot of times, it actually is about, first of all, accepting that no one else can give you the deep love that you desire, but you. No one else understands you like you do. No one else gives to you like you do. So we first have to pour all our focus and attention onto ourselves and our own needs. We've been taught not to put our own needs above everybody else's, but we're going to just totally demolish that and shackle ourselves from these things that have often put people in positions where their health suffers, they're not having the work they desire, the environment they desire, the relationships they desire, from these beliefs that are still running their lives. So through the experience last year, I came into a place where a lot of the things that I'd attached meanings to that weren't truths were percolated within me and rose to the surface to be exposed, so that they wouldn't have that power over me that they've had most of my life. I had to do a lot of grieving and forgive myself, because unwittingly I had kept creating over and over these things in my life, not knowing that this thinking, these hurts, that would just, they'd go on autopilot. As we know, they just come up at any given time and start running images, and it's like a theatre going on. We rehearse arguments, we rehearse conflicts, and we swap roles, and we should have said this and didn't say that, and it's continuous. It takes up an enormous amount of energy from us because it goes nowhere. And all it does is bring up these reactions in ourselves as if it's happening here and now, because there is only now. And that subconscious that we all have, that left-hand side of the brain, doesn't know the difference between something that happened, you know, a long time ago, years ago, or it's happening now. It will still create those same feelings in your body, and you feel it. You shrink down. You feel those deep, hurtful feelings that you've hurt when you were originally hurt. However long ago that was, they continually come back. And it's, people go, why is this happening? It's because we keep bringing these images back and the meaning we've attached to it. So the way I discovered to neutralize and negate the effect of these continuous, you know, running dialogue of judging and comparing and just, you know, critiquing everything going around us, whether, you know, we've assumed something about somebody because of the way they're dressed, and we've heard that when we were younger, that this type of person dressed that way, well, that's how they are. And it's just, it's quite intricate, the web of stuff that we've taken on and accepted to be true, not only about ourselves but other people. When it comes to creating your own health, it comes down to, you need to disregard everything on the outside and what people have told you is possible about your health, and start to put more trust in your own ability to have the capacity, the capability to heal itself, because it has that already in itself inside. It can do that. One of the things that people bring up a bit for me is, when I work with people, is the link with genetics. Now, most of us have, you know, been aware of, or else we've come from families where there has been a health condition, from anything serious to cancer, or you know, lupus, you know, strokes, heart disease, any kind of condition. You know, people say, oh, you know, I've got weak knees like my father, and he had a, you know, a back that played up on him and gave him problems, and I've got the same thing. And so, you know, it's been a very unconscious way that we've kind of accepted and clung on to these things that other people have told us that could be our own fate, you know. And we've all had grandparents and, you know, fathers, mothers, aunts, uncles that have something. And so, I mean, in my case too, say, well, you know, this runs in your family. Therefore, you're a high candidate for that to happen to you. I mean, even every time we go and fill out a form, you know, whether we go to the doctor or some medical department, and they want to know your history, that's what they're trying to ascertain. Oh, this runs in your family. Were you a smoker? Were you this? Were you, do you drink alcohol? Any lifestyle thing. They're all trying to tie it all in and say, well, you know, this could happen to you too. So all this does is fuel doubt into our mind. It makes us feel like we're victims. And when you feel like you're a victim to outside or circumstances are out of your control, well, that's what happens. So we have to actually realize that a lot of what we're being told on the outside has to do with money, securing money from us, or medical procedure, for instance. It's all about money. It's all about something someone's trying to offer you, a procedure, a medication, some kind of lifestyle that serves them and not yourself. So in order to have that level of health and wellness that you're seeking, the first thing you need to address is your own mind. You have to start to put the attention on the kind of thinking that is going on a day-to-day basis. And like I said, because it's unconscious, a lot of the time it's just happening without our awareness. And nothing can change until we have this awareness. You know, we could be just the traffic lights in the car, and next thing we're entertaining all these thoughts of an argument we had with somebody, or something that just happened 10 minutes ago, and we think, we're going through the whole scene. It's like we go through the dress rehearsal of a play, and we switch roles, and they should have said this and they should have done that. And it's incredible how unconscious these kind of thinking is going on. We're literally rehearsing for these things to keep repeating. And if we understand how powerful our imagination is, like I said, everything began from a thought that somebody had, then we start to really become selective and more aware of what we're thinking. So if you have some kind of health condition, or you're feeling like, I'm getting older, even just saying these things, I am getting older, therefore it's normal to have this and it's normal to have that. Well, it will be so for you. We have to really be aware of what we're speaking into existence for ourselves, and that is the linchpin that's holding up the whole structure of how your life is going. And this is what you need to address in order to change the whole thing around. And that's what I had to do. The thing is, it works, and people will go, well, okay. And I have to give them examples of the car, for instance. When we're going to get a car, and we think about the model and the make and the color, and we think about it, and we go, yep, that's the one I want. We've imagined it. Next couple of days, we go out, and sure enough, we go into a parking bay, and what's next to us? The same car that we've just been imagining. We start to see it in the street, on the roads, in places we go day to day. It just shows up, and that's how it works. We've all had those experiences. So with your health and the creation of your health, you have to start to become aware of these stories you've attached, because genetics is not the cause of something. If you believe it to be so, then that was what will happen. If I had have taken notice of the family history and everything like that, I would have given my power over to that. I would have become a victim of circumstances, and I certainly wouldn't be experiencing the level of health and well-being I have now. And I want that for you. So from today's video, if you can start to just become aware, as soon as you become aware of what kind of thoughts you're having about your health, what you think about getting older, what is it that you're accepting? Is it something from the outside, a narrative that you've read or told, or family member said, or someone said this is how you're supposed to be when you're older and it's only going to get worse? And are you accepting all that to be true? Because if you are, then this is how it's going to play out for you. And when you realize the power that you actually have and who you really are, that you can change all this just by accepting something different, really embodying it. Let it just go right through your body and embody it. And live your life as if you're free of these things. Don't even talk about it. There's so many people when they become older that I witness who just, their conversation is full of all their medical appointments, where they're going. Oh, you're using this surgeon? I know a better one. Oh, do you know this guy? He's done a great job on this person's knee replacement, and he did a good job on this person, that. And they talk about their pills and all this stuff. And all they're doing is taking on that identity as a person who's under lifelong medical supervision. Is that really what you want for yourself? Because I certainly didn't. And I created something different. And you can too. All right, so I'll leave it with that, and I'll be back again soon. Okay, bye for now.